And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, today we're going to be taking a look at a game called Dungeon Heroes. Now, full disclosure, when this game was on Kickstarter, I did do a paid preview for the game. Doesn't affect my review, but you should know that. Dwarven Heroes is a two-player game. Well, it's 1 to 2, but I don't really play games by myself, so I'm just reviewing the two-player version of this. It's a very quick, it's a dungeon deduction game. That sounds odd, but I think it's best if I show you how the game works first, and then you'll see what that means exactly. But it's two players. One person's going to be the heroes, the other person will be the dungeon master. Here we go. Alright, there's a board that's placed here, which is a grid, as you can see, which is 6 by 6, so there's 36 spots in this grid. There's 4 squares over here, which kind of counts as just one big square, where you put a treasure chest, and then the hero player is going to put 4 heroes on the side of the board. Now, there's 4 heroes in the game: the wizard, the rogue, the warrior, and the cleric. Each of these heroes has an associated die that comes with it to keep track of its hit points. So the wizard starts with 4, rogue with 6, the warrior with 10, 0 to 10, and the cleric with 8. It also shows how each of them can move on the board. The warrior and the cleric can move orthogonally, which means up and down and left and right, while the wizard and the rogue can also move diagonally. And then each has a special ability that they're going to be able to use over the course of the game. Now, as the game starts, we have what is called the passive phase. The dungeon player is going to go first. They're going to draw dungeon tiles from a group of dungeon tiles that they will mix up and start the game. There's a bunch of monsters, a bunch of traps, and then you'll have 13 out of 23 special tiles, plus 3 treasure tiles. And they will be able to place these basically anywhere they want on the board next to the different characters, like this. So that's all the monster player does. Now, he can look at them, so he sees what he's putting out. The heroes then can take 4 actions also, but only 2 actions with the same hero. So the wizard could do move, or the wizard could do 1 and do a special action. The rogue could move 1 here, etc. Now, the special actions that they have, actually, we'll get to the special actions after we talk about the tiles. Let's take a closer look at some of the tiles in the game. Several of the tiles are traps, and when you step onto a trap, you will take that much damage, and then the trap is removed from the game. So this does 4 damage, 10 damage, 8 damage, 6 damage. And as you can see, any one of these will kill the wizard. The rogue, though, has a special ability that when he goes on top of a trap, that trap is removed from the game. So the rogue is not harmed by traps. So if you know there's a trap somewhere, he's the guy to send. Now, on the flip side, when we come down, there's also going to be monsters in the game. Now, monsters, when you step on a monster, you'll lose that many hit points. And you can see there's 4 different types of monsters here. We have skeletons and goblins and orcs, and then the troll, your typical, gangsters of the dungeon. And when you step on them, you'll take that much damage also. However, when the warrior steps on them, he kills them automatically. He doesn't take damage from them. So essentially, you want to use the warrior to go out and kill monsters. Other things that you might find as you go along, you might step on a portal, which will immediately send you home. You might step on one of these, and when you step on one of those, you will move one of the 2 spaces, the arrows, in that direction. Now, hopefully you'll find some good stuff. There's all sorts of goodies that you'll find, and if you find one of these in a dungeon, you can add it, and these are a piece of equipment. Now, most of them are simply one-time use of the special abilities that the characters have. So if you have a sword, you can kill a monster once. If you have this, you can pick a trap once, even if you're not the rogue or the warrior. This brings someone back from the dead, the Holy Grail. This lets you use the cleric's power, who can spend an action on their turn to heal 2 damage to themselves or to an adjacent character. This lets you use the wizard's ability, which on their turn, they can turn over 1 tile on the board so that everyone can see it. As long as no one is on that tile, they can do that. And then, of course, you are looking for more of these treasure tokens, because there's 3 of them on the board, and then there's that you don't know where they might be. There's one where you do know where it starts. You only need to get 3 out of the 4 of those to win the game. Now, this is what I said is the passive phase, when the whole board is either full of tiles or the monster player runs out of tiles to put on the board. At that point, every monster is tiles removed from the board, and you put plastic figures on the board to take the place of those. From now on, the monster player is going to be able to move these guys as actions and move them into people and attack doing damage. And again, the only person they're afraid of is the warrior or somebody who might have this sword tile. That's essentially the game. You will just go back and forth until either the hero gets 3 out of the 4 treasures or till all 4 heroes are dead, in which case the bad guy wins. And that's about it. That's pretty cool, I think. Now, when I played the prototype version of this, and it was good, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was a pretty neat deduction game. I played it. I was like, huh. Because you really, I mean, the hero guy has it pretty hard. That dungeon is just full of nasty stuff that will kill you. So you have to think very carefully. You can use the wizard's action every turn to flip tiles over, all over the board, but you know, that's a waste of an action, and if you wait too long, those monsters come to life and start coming after you, and they will get you. As the dungeon master, you have some cool things like, do I put the treasure tile right near the heroes, and they think it's a trap? Because in the very first turn, you put a tile right in front of the guy's thief. Well, he knows that can't be a trap, but I know that you know that, and we have the Vasel effect. So that's neat. I mean, and there's lots of different options, I think, as the game progresses. Don't think of this as a dungeon crawl, although the dungeon theme fits it very well. I'm very surprised at it. I mean, solid box, good components, really like the little miniature skeletons and heroes and things. The dice for hit points is a good idea. It works really smoothly. This works really well because it's such a light game, but at the same time offers a pretty good deduction game back and forth. I think this is a game a lot of people are going to walk by and miss on this one because either like, oh, dungeon game, small box, because it's not really a dungeon game. It's really a two-player deduction game as the dungeon player is bluffing the hero, and the hero is trying to figure out where the best way to get through that dungeon to get those 3 treasures. It seems to me, after the games I've played, to be balanced. I think so. I think maybe the dungeon master has won more often than not, but a good hero player can get in there and outwit. So fun. Pretty cool game. Certainly a good idea. It says 13 plus in the box, but I think 10-year-olds and plus could handle it. I will say this. There's poison gas clouds, and I don't think I showed you one of those in the video. Okay, it looks like this. Vroom, poison gas. You step on that, you're dead. It kills everyone. Hero kills the rogue, it traps monsters. It's powerful. The thing is, there's 3 of them. If all 3 get randomly shuffled in, I think the heroes have a much more difficult time. Also, if the heroes don't have a decent smattering of weapons, so you could, if you want to adjust the difficulty, you could deliberately make it harder for heroes by putting in all those. When all 3 of those poison cloud tiles are in, I don't know that I've seen the heroes win in that scenario yet, because it makes the board that much more harder. But anyway, so I think you can adjust the ability by picking the tiles, but you could also just play completely random. Anyway, Dungeon Heroes. Fun for 2 and fast.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door.
There.